Hospitals are strange places at night. The hallways feel too empty, the lights too bright, and every sound, every heartbeat monitor, every soft footstep echoes louder than it should. I learned this when I started volunteering during the evening shift. It wasn't glamorous work, but it mattered. And sometimes the quiet hours revealed stories no one else ever saw. One cold November night, as I rolled a cart of blankets down the third floor, I noticed something odd. Room 312's door was slightly open, though the patient inside was scheduled to be discharged earlier that day. Curious, I gently knocked and pushed the door open. Inside, an elderly woman sat alone on the edge of the bed, staring at a folded piece of paper in her hands. Her overnight bag was packed, coat neatly laid beside her, but she wasn't moving. I stepped inside. "Ma'am, are you waiting for someone to pick you up?" She smiled faintly. "No, I'm just waiting for courage." Before we begin, if you enjoy heartfelt stories like this, don't forget to subscribe and comment where you're listening from. Now, let's continue. Her name was Margaret, 83 years old, recovering from a minor surgery, fully cleared to go home, but she hadn't moved. I stepped inside. "Is there anything I can get you?" She patted the bed beside her. "Sit for a moment. It helps to talk to someone who isn't a doctor pretending not to be tired." I smiled gently and sat down. She held up the folded paper. Her fingers trembled. "This is a letter I wrote 57 years ago. I never mailed it." I stayed quiet, giving her space to continue. "He was my first love. Brave, kind, impossible not to love. We were 19. We talked about the future, as if it was something we could hold in our hands." Her eyes softened with memory. "But then he was drafted for the war, and the night before he left, we fought. About something stupid, I can't even remember what. He walked out angry." She swallowed hard. "The next morning, I wrote this letter. I apologized, told him I cared, told him to come back to me." She pressed the letter to her heart. "But I was too proud to send it." My breath caught. "What happened to him?" I asked gently. "He never came home," she whispered. "His unit, they said he was missing, presumed gone." The hospital machines hummed softly in the silence that followed. "I kept the letter all these years," she said. "Sometimes I took it out, read it, cried over it. Tonight, I was supposed to finally throw it away. A symbolic gesture, you know? Start fresh." She let out a shaky breath. "But I can't seem to let go." A single tear slid down her cheek. "I'm afraid if I throw this away," she said quietly, "I'll lose the last piece of him." I reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. "You don't have to throw it away," I said softly. She met my eyes with a fragile sadness. "Don't I? Then what should I do with it? My children don't know about him. My husband, God rest him, never knew. This letter doesn't belong anywhere anymore." I thought for a moment. "Sometimes," I said, "letters aren't meant to be thrown away or hidden. They're meant to be read." She blinked. "You want me to read it?" "Only if you want to." She hesitated, then slowly opened the fragile paper. The ink had faded, but the words were still legible. Her voice trembled as she read. "Dear Thomas, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said the things I said. I was scared, and I took it out on you. I didn't mean any of it, not one word. Please come back to me. I promise I'll be here, waiting. Yours, Margaret." Her hands shook as she folded the letter again, pressing it against her chest. "He never got to read those words," she whispered. "He died thinking I was angry." "Margaret," I said gently, "he left knowing you loved him. People don't forget love overnight. He carried you with him, whether he read that letter or not." She closed her eyes, letting the words settle. "I wish I knew that for sure." "Maybe," I said, "you kept the letter all these years because a part of you knew he understood." A quiet smile touched her lips. "Maybe." We talked for nearly an hour about her life, her family, her regrets, her joys. She told me stories about dancing in summer rain, sneaking out at midnight, laughing until her ribs hurt. Stories she hadn't told anyone in decades. Finally, she looked at the clock. "It's late," she said softly. "I should go." But she didn't stand. "Will you walk me out?" "Of course." I helped her gather her things and offered her my arm. We moved slowly down the quiet hallway. The night felt softer now, like the world was holding her story gently. At the entrance, she stopped. "Thank you," she said, "for listening, for letting me say his name out loud again." "Thomas?" I said. She closed her eyes, letting the name settle in the air. "Yes, Thomas." She stepped toward the sliding doors, but then paused. "Could you do one last thing for me?" "Anything." She pressed the folded letter into my hand. "Would you keep it?" she whispered. "Not to throw away, just to keep his memory alive a little longer." My chest tightened. "Of course," I said softly. "I'll keep it safe." She nodded, relief softening her features. Then she walked into the cool night air, her silhouette framed by the glow of the streetlights. She moved slowly, but with purpose, as if she had finally let go of a weight she'd carried her entire adult life. I stood there for a long moment, clutching the letter. When I finally returned to the third floor, the head nurse approached me. "You were with the lady from 312?" she asked. "Yes." She gave me a sad smile. "She was a lovely woman, very strong. It's surprising she had the energy to talk tonight." I hesitated. "What do you mean?" She glanced at the empty room. "She passed away earlier today." My heart stopped. "What?" I whispered. "She suffered a cardiac arrest after her discharge papers were processed. We tried everything, but she didn't make it." The world tilted beneath me. But she was just here. I talked. I walked her out." The nurse frowned gently. "You must have been thinking of someone else." "No," I shook my head hard. "It was her." The nurse placed a gentle hand on my arm. "She passed at 4 p.m., she said quietly. "She never left the hospital." I stared at her, heart pounding. My fingers tightened around the folded letter in my hand. The letter she asked me to keep. The letter she couldn't have given me, not if she had died hours earlier. I walked slowly back to room 312. The bed was empty, the lights turned off, her belongings gone. But on the pillow lay a single yellow daisy, the kind that grows wild in fields, the kind soldiers used to tuck behind their helmets for luck. And suddenly I understood. Some goodbyes aren't spoken with words. Some stories finish even after someone is gone. Some love waits decades for one last moment of peace. And sometimes a forgotten letter becomes a soul's final message. I keep the letter to this day, safe, untouched, sacred. Whenever the world feels heavy, I open it, not to read the words, but to remember that love doesn't end when life does. It lingers, in letters, in memories, in rooms where stories refuse to fade. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next story.